So, this is our iPhone 5C teardown. Got a cracked digitizer here. And bear with me, this is my first repair video for YouTube. As you can see, the LCD is still functional. I will show you in 1 second that the digitizer is still functional. Basically just broken glass. As you can see, the touch is still completely functional. All buttons are working as they should. It's always a good thing if you're not repairing your own phone, if you're doing this as a hobby or as a business, when you're with the customer, you always want to, at least the checklist that I go over is make sure they have cell reception, a Wi-Fi signal, make sure all external buttons work, power, home, volume, and the mute button. I also check the cameras just to protect yourself and be sure that there wasn't any damage that you caused during the repair process. And as you can see, both cameras are working. So we will go ahead and get this opened up. If you are repairing one that the glass isn't shattered in this way and you're able to get a suction cup on it, probably the easiest way to pop the screens up on these 5s, the 5, the 5C, and the 5S. Apple actually went back and to their old design on the 3G and the 3GS phone. And from a repair perspective, I like replacing screens on either the 3rd generation or the 5th generation a whole lot more than the 4th generation, the 4S. The 4th generation required basically to gut the phone completely out, just so you could get to the screws which hold in the screen. But on these, as you will see, very simple. Unfortunately, I'm not able to use my suction cup. First, we will take our pentalobe screwdriver and remove the 2 screws by the lightning port. And once you do that, the ideal spot for a suction cup is as close as you can get it to the home button. Unfortunately, on this one, I'm not going to be able to get a suction there, so I just have to use my I assess my opening tool and kind of get in here between the plastic bezel and the plastic chassis, and just kind of work your way around nice and easy, because we want to try and I do anyhow, I separate the LCDs, which that'll be in my next video, so I can reuse them and adhere them to a new glass, kind of like the Galaxies require. And you just take a fingernail or a safe pry tool and work right around the edge and pop those clips up. And then it will open up like so. I'll give you a better look here. One thing that helps too is if you use a plastic spudger, kind of pop it in here and put it under one of your pentalobe mounts. That'll keep the screen popped open for you so you can get the next screws out. So where you want to start, obviously, where the LCD, the digitizer, and the front camera proximity sensor flex cable are housed. And at the top right corner you will see an EMI shield, and there are 4 screws that hold this shield on. 3 of them custom image.
Floyd asked me to call to see when will be a good time to get the computers.
I'll be here all evening.
Okay, he's at the railroad now. I don't know what time he'll be back. I guess I'm just giving you a call when he gets back or whatever when he is.
Okay. Sounds good. Yep, no problem. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry about that. Okay. On to the second screw here. And Apple uses many different screw sizes in all of their devices. So make sure you try and lay them out in order. Either get yourself a screw mat or make your own screw mat. As I have done here, I have several screw mats. Most of them have numbers on them for usually laptops and things that I take apart that have a lot more screws. I can kind of do it in steps. Always a good idea to have something like that, especially working with the iPhones, because there are a lot of screws. Like I said, they're all different sizes. So 3 of these screws, once you get them loose, they will pop out with your magnetized screwdriver. The 4th screw, there has not been an iPhone 5 yet that I can get this screw out by a magnetic tip. So at this point, it fell down in the side there. I'm just going to tip it over and let that screw fall out. So far 6 screws, and we're to the connectors that we need to be at. As you can see, phone is still working fine. And now is a good time to power it off, now that you're sure you didn't damage the LCD while getting to it. So we'll go ahead and power off. Now the next step, to be safe, we're going to unhook the battery. Battery is located on down from the LCD connector. At the bottom of the motherboard, you will see a metal plate with 2 screws. You want to remove both of those screws. And then lift your metal plate up. This EMI shield covers the dock connector, flex, and the battery. The battery is the one on the bottom. You don't need to pull the battery out for this because the adhesive in the 5Cs and 5Ss is very strong, and if there's no need to pull the battery out, I don't do it. But also a tip for putting the battery back in, if you do have to take it out to replace a customer's battery or to get to other parts into the phone, make sure you put some two-sided tape back in there to hold that battery in place, because I have had a couple customers complain about hearing the battery shake inside of it after removing that tape and pulling the battery out. So anyhow, on to removing the connectors. Take your spudger or tweezers. If you use tweezers, just make sure you don't catch any of the solder joints that are real close to these connectors. And just forgot one more here, the digitizer. Okay. And that is a very easy part to replace. Still got the rest of the phone intact. And so now you travel to eBay or to your supplier and order your new screen. The screens that I get, and I assume most of them are like this, they will come with the bare minimum parts wise on them when you get them. So what you have to do is, off your broken screen, remove the home button shield, 2 screws at the center bottom, and you can remove the EMI shield that is behind the LCD as well. I believe there are 6. I'm sorry, 5 on the 5. No, there are 6. Looks like 1 is missing already. Must have had this phone repaired before. So we'll take that off, set it aside. 1 at the very top. Okay, and then you can move over to the EMI shield over the ear speaker, proximity and ambient light sensor, and front camera flex cable assembly. There are 2 screws which hold the shield on. And the one that goes at the top is almost double the length of the one on the lower right hand side of that shield, just so you don't get them mixed up whenever you put it back together. And the shield has a clip on the right side of it. Oops, I forgot one. Down at the bottom of the LCD EMI shield, there's one more. Okay, now we can lift that up and start removing this tape that is on the shield. Kind of helps to support the flex cables up here. Okay, should put the shield aside. Now we should be able to get that shield a little better. Okay, that just popped off. that free now. There's the shield. Set it aside. And when it came out, the ear speaker also came out. And just remember the way that it popped in. There are two springs. Hopefully you can see them here. There's two springs at the top of that. And you'll see down where it seats in, there are two gold contact points. Okay, that is how the ear speaker gets power, and needs to be put back on the same way. And it's kind of hard to get it wrong because there's actually a little channel here at the bottom that fits into a rubber piece right here that should be part of your new screen. That channel on the ear speaker will pop right in there and give you a nice tight fit. Okay, then we will pull our front camera. Let me get under here and lift this up a little bit. The contacts for the ear speaker and that sensor has some adhesive holding it. So you want to be really careful that you don't rip this. If you feel better applying a little heat, 15-20 seconds, the heat gun on medium setting is all you should need to loosen that up. But I find generally just to spudge her in there the right way with some patience and it'll pop right out, as you can see there. So there is the front camera, flex assembly with your proximity and ambient light sensor there as well. We'll set that aside and go back down to the home button. Home button contacts as well, they make contact with these two little prongs right here on the charge port assembly. You can see me touching them there with my iSesamo tool. And once again, it's adhesed as well. So patience, work something under there, use a little heat if it makes you feel better. And that whole piece will come off as one, as you can see there. There's the home button assembly. And when I first started on the 5s, that was something I kept in stock a good bit because I did rip a lot of the flex cables for those. But and you might want to do the same thing just so you have them on hand. You can find them for just a couple bucks pretty much anywhere. And the last thing we want to pop out is the home button and the home button gasket. And it's generally a good idea to put a new home button gasket onto when you put it into the new screen. You don't have to, but it is very important that it makes a good seal. Any kind of moisture, dirt, dust, metal shavings, that rubber gasket's the only thing keeping that stuff out from getting down into your very important part of the phone, the charge port. See, there's all kinds of contacts and grounds right here, and the slightest bit of metal shaving can really damage other stuff in your phone. So it's always a good idea to use brand new rubber gaskets. Once again, cheap. You can find them all over eBay. And one more thing I like to pull out is the round plastic bracket that the front camera sits in. Because a lot of times the screens do not come with these in them already. Depends a lot on if you buy pulled parts that are out of new or refurbished phones, or if you're buying copy parts, or if you're buying refurbed OEM parts. But these are always good to have. There's a little bit of adhesive to the underside of them, but they'll pop out, and they are important because if you don't seat everything down right when you're putting the sensor and the camera and everything back in your new screen, you could get it all back together, and this has happened to me, so I'm telling you this from experience. When you go to put it back together and inspect the phone with the customer, you may see that the front camera is covered a little bit or just a little out of line. It doesn't look like a professional job. So always got to put that bracket back in there just to secure that front camera. And there you go. We've gutted the LCD assembly, removed everything that we may or may not need for the new screen, and now it's time to remove the LCD from the glass. And that'll be in my next video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and it helped you in any way, please comment below and like my page.